What do you think about the vaulting animations and like when you're trying to
Oh
shoot somebody that's
yeah,
vaulting?
I think the vaulting animation needs to be removed because it messes up the hitbox. Something shocking. If someone jumps and like touches something and they begin a vaulting animation or that sliding vault animation thing, the hit
Mm-hmm.
the hitbox goes all over the place and the animation can't keep up. I'm sure everyone's had this where you're aiming at someone, they vault, and even though you're hitting dead on where you see the body, you're not getting a single hit marker. That's because the hitbox is somewhere over the vaulting. You know, it's over somewhere else. It's
Or,
somewhere
or their
else.
or their view model is right on the it's right over here, and then they vault, and then they're um way over on the other side of the map or something, or like 5 feet to the left. That's just really annoying.
Yeah. I mean, with BC2, yeah, there were hit detection problems. Um, with BC2 there was hit detection problems, but that wasn't caused by vaulting. That was because of like the hit detection server side. Blah
Yeah,
blah
hit
blah blah
detection in
blah.
that game is.
But there were yeah, no one's body was like teleporting all over the place because they vaulted over an object or something like that. The bodies always had a constant hitbox. You could always hit them. I mean. BC2 is a really bad example because its hit detection was sometimes very shoddy, but yeah, bodies stayed still. They didn't all of a sudden disappear. You know, you see sometimes in people's videos, they like the enemy just like flashes. You know, it disappears from the view. You know, so
Hmm.
and because I was talking about the hit detection in BC2, I want to get your thoughts on the damage of BC2 compared to BF3 and the hit detection, client side versus server side, and how the hit detections work in both
All
games.
right,
And what
that's
would
a
you
good
like
point.
BF4's hit detection to be and weapon damage and whatnot?
Going from BC2 to BF3, they changed a ridiculous amount. They changed a lot more than people would realize. You see, in BC2, I can say this because I've been playing a lot of BC2 lately, and first of all, the guns in BC2, they did a lot less damage. And then you had the whole Magnum ammo and body armor aspect, which I'm so glad they took out because anything that it's like an attachment that affects damage
Yeah.
outside of like a suppressor or something. I think that's not very good to have in the game. So,
Anybody that
but
doesn't have that attachment's immediately at a massive disadvantage, sort of thing.
hmm. In BC2, you had a lot more guns. The guns were a lot more accurate. They didn't have as much like spread aspects to it and recoil aspects to it. There's a lot less recoil and a lot less spread, but the guns did like very little damage. Um, but if you had really good aim or you had decent aim, you could like just hit like 5, 6 shots in a row and then down somebody. And that's BC2 aspect. Here, you only have to hit like four bullets or something, or if you get a headshot, even less. But the guns, they have a lot more spread aspects, and accuracy is something that you have to work on a lot more in this game than BC2. And the thing about BC2 though is the hit detection was awful. I've seen videos like people are like, oh, we need to go back to the hit detection in BC2. These people haven't played BC2 in over a year, so their memory of BC2, is like the wishful thinking, oh, best game ever. BC2 was my first game ever, and I really like that game and I
Yeah, and
respect it
before
for
we
that.
continue, I'll just add to that. The reason we're comparing a lot of things to BC2 is because it is both our first Battlefield game, our full Battlefield game. So it's the thing we most can compare it to, and as well, it is the second latest Battlefield game, so it most represents what DICE is capable of. Okay, continue on.
Well, BC2 had a server-side hit detection, and if you had a bad connection to the server, uh, you weren't going to get the hits that you think you deserve, or the hits. So many hit fails, so many hit fails. Like I've been crying about that a lot lately, but I mean,
I'm
you get used
sure
to it.
everyone's
Not
had
that
that bit where they've shot someone, seen blood, and nothing happened in BC2. I'm sure they've seen that. That
Yeah,
happens
so the
too often.
people that are saying that we should go back to server-side hit reg, they haven't played BC2 lately. You see, what BF3 has done to fix this is it's not a client-side hit detection, as most people miscorrectly remember or miscorrectly think. Battlefield 3 is not a client-side hit detection, as most people think. It has a lot of aspects to that, but that's because it's a hybrid system. You know, um, if you have a pure client-side hit reg, that's going to lead to a lot of bad situations, like people getting shot around the corners 100 times more than they do now. But if you had a pure server side, then you have the hit reg fails. Um, but with Battlefield 3 is try to do to mitigate that, it is they made a hybrid system where it has it's a server side hit detection, but it has like client side lag compensation or something like that, where it gets information from the client side and it tries to compromise and that and if anybody, if you go back to play BC2 right now, after playing BF3, you'll realize that BF3 has a lot better hit detection.
Yep.
Of course, getting shot around corners happens a lot, but it's not a crazy percentage of times that happens in a given game. It might happen once or twice, every couple games or
Yeah.
something. I mean, especially more so with Appletinee because he's always playing with 300 ping.
Yeah.
But
like, I get angry, and then I just think, shut up, Apple, you're playing at 300 ping, stop, you're gonna get killed around corners,
exactly,
like...
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it can be improved, and that's what I hope they do. I hope they improve with the current system they have, but they don't need to drastically change it or go back to server side completely because that'll create a lot more problems that you guys will just complain about later. So you might think you have the
Yeah.
perfect idea, but Dice they went this way for a reason, and I think they have. I mean, I think they're in the right direction. They just need to spend more time working on
do
it.
some more
I mean, it's
improving on
basically.
it and, yeah,
And I'm
polishing
sure
it.
they know that they need to improve it, and I'm sure they're working on improving it. So I mean, um,
Yep.
they just got to improve with the system they have. They shouldn't drastically change what they're going with, though.
Yeah.
That's my
I
opinion.
mean, as I was talking with Zero before, Zero at the moment what's your accuracy with the ACR? 37 or something like that?
35.
35. Zero's accuracy
But
with
that's
the
just because I'm
ACR.
micromanaging it. There's,
Yeah, but
you know,
still,
a lot of people better than me, like
with-
Eagle or Nyla.
Yeah, but like with effort, you can get 35 accuracy with the ACR in BF3, which is a game that has a lot more spread. While in Bad Company 2, which is a game where it's all its weapons, every single weapon is a lot more accurate. What's like the highest accuracy you've gotten with a regular gun in BC2 in like lately?
F2000.
Yeah,
like
and
22% or something.
yeah, exactly, 22%, and it's because of them hit fails. It's impossible. You can't control hit fails. You can't stop shooting because you think, oh, this bullet isn't gonna hit. It should always hit, which most of the time it does in BF3, and I think that's pretty much a perfect example of the hit detection is an improvement in BF3, but like you said, it still needs some more polishing and needs to be perfected and stop them issues.
Yeah,
of
it's
getting
something they
killed
have to
around
work on, but
corners.
it's something they don't have to drastically,
No,
like
I agree.
just completely get rid of, and start over.
Yep. And then finally the grand finale, which is the main reason why I wanted Zero on here, is lately we've been playing ESL and stuff, which is Electronic Sports League, which is basically organised competitive matches for Battlefield 3, and Zero himself is a part of SA, which is a North American competitive team, and there's been a lot of talk about Battlefield 4 having a competitive side, so I wanted to get Zero's opinion on competitive Battlefield 4.
Well, there's a lot that they need to do to bring out the competitive environment. You said BF3 had a lot of things that limited us from getting a bigger comp scene or more tournaments with prize money and stuff. You see, there's a lot of and a big one is the spectator mode, and then a lot of the random stuff that happens in this game, like suppression and deviation and that kind of stuff. That drives competitive players away from this, and competitive like tournament organizers away from this. If they had spectator mode where you can just watch everybody,
Yeah, well that's why BF3 can't be an MLG, because it doesn't have a spectator mode. It physically is not allowed in the circuit because of that. So that is definitely something that needs to be in the game.
And so what can they do to improve this? I think Daskro, he's a big guy in the comp scene, and a really respected
Yeah,
person.
a massive supporter of the
He brought up
community.
the idea of they should have separate game types. Kind of like Counter-Strike. You have the casual game mode, and then you have the competitive game mode.
Classic competitive, and arms race
Well,
and
you
all
see,
that
they
sort of
have
stuff.
they change they tweak a lot of the little features to promote like this competitive game style. If you take out all the random deviation and you take out all the suppression and you take out all this kind of stuff for competitive game type, then that'll be a lot more appetizing. Then you add on spectator mode, and then you're starting to see some good environments. And um, if you have some good maps on top of that, it's only going to get better and better. And uh, there's a lot of things that and then if you get input from these competitive players, if you ask them for input, um, and that's where you're going to start improving the game type, but I think it should be like separate. You don't force all these casual players to play in competitive
Yeah,
game
competitive
style,
rule
and you don't
sets and stuff like that. Cause
force the competitive
yeah,
players to get screwed over by baddies and stuff.
yeah. Do you think the revive mechanic needs to be removed from the assault class? Do you think that would provide more variety?
People would still play assault anyway. I think. I think the thing is about assault is the reason why they use that is because of the assault rifles
Yeah. I
and
do think
how
personally it
good they
would
are.
balance the class more
But
because
what would be your idea to split it? Where would you give it? Yeah, I don't like the idea of going back to BC2, with the assault having ammo and the medic having the revives and the health. Because in BC2, you just get those assault players sitting on an ammo box, spamming
yeah, there
320
is an
Mark
issue
II
with that.
grenades across the map.
There
It's
is an
like
issue with that.
so
But
skilled,
I
so
mean,
skilled.
like I was watching someone, they said they've given the best weapons in the game, the best gadget in the game. It's just there's no balance in that. You've got the med pack and the
This
defibs
is
with
where
the
I would
assault
split it up.
rifles. Yeah, there's
And
an
if I
issue
had to do
there.
something, I'd split it up to a fifth class, like make it
Okay.
like a assault and then a medic instead of
Oh,
just
are you
assault
meaning
medic.
like keep the assault with a med bag, but give like a spec ops class, let's just call it that, with like a
I
defib
don't know. I haven't put a lot
and
of
a
thought into
something
this.
else. That
I
might
don't
be
know
something
what I would
because that
give
would
the
be.
assault,
I
and
personally
I
would
know
like
with
that.
the
Giving the assault class like M16, like all the assault rifles, give them a med bag, a med kit, but then there also be another class that has the defibs. Someone that's focused on reviving, but don't give them assault rifles. Give them something else. Give them the PDWs. Make the PDWs all a spec ops class or something like that. That
uh-huh.
I think personally that would make the classes a bit more balanced and in a competitive sense wouldn't be as boring to watch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because as well as it's, do you want to help your team or do you want to help yourself? It's that sort of argument. Do you want to keep yourself alive or do you want to keep your team alive? And I think that would be really interesting to watch in a competitive scene because you'd want your killers to be, your top frag guys to be using the medkits, and you'd want your supportive players to be using, defibs and whatnot.
Right, and they can distribute the medkits to the other players
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah, that adds a little diversity. You're saying you want more diversity in the comp scene,
Well, do you
and
think? Well, that's my personal opinion. But Zero, you're the competitive player who's playing on like currently the top North American team. What do you want out of
I
the
wouldn't
competitive
wouldn't
scene?
mind that, but I don't really mind how it is now. I think with the added changes like a spectator mode and get rid of all this random shit that they have in it. I think that would improve the scene as it is now.
Yep.
And me for one, I don't use the M16 in comp anyway, so
No.
it's not.
No. I mean, but you have often used it.
Yeah, I've used
It's
it before. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely says the guy with 9,999 kills. I don't use the M16. And I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's really on what sort of variety you want.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Have infinite ammo boxes with the person that can
Oh,
just spam
can
the
you
nades.
imagine like all the M320 whores, but with a with a ammo bag? Jesus Christ. Oh,
Mm.
that would be awful. Yeah, so
I just
let's
love
not
it.
do that. Let's not do that, BF4. That'd be
You
great
see,
if we
that's
didn't
like
do that.
something that they'd have to put a lot of thought into if they're gonna change the classes.
Yeah.
And I trust them to do that because I think going from BC2 class system to BF3, I think that was an improvement.
Yeah.
And I think what they do, I trust them to make another improvement going to BF4, and,
Yep.
and that's something I trust them to do. I know a lot of people don't trust DICE to do that, but that's something I'm confident that they can improve
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really all we can do is speculate and hope, but things need to be tested. People can say, yes, this system is better, but they can't confirm it unless they actually try it themselves. And, I personally would like a more advanced beta, one that is more varied and gives people the opportunity to test. It's not just, yeah,
I like your idea of having 3 different maps with 3 different modes.
yeah,
As in a beta. That sounds smart.
yeah, and
Smart.
it gives them a chance to learn the ins and out of the game and learn.
What works and what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And before they make big changes and do these new implementations, they should test it first. Before they did the big patch of suppression adding massive deviation, they should have tested that. They should have, given it out to the public for, 1,000 people or something like that. Allow it to be tested.
The testers be better than scrubs. Man,
Have people with good aim.
Pass is awesome.
Yeah,
I just put it on a bipod, killed everybody. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna try.
So I'm gonna start wrapping it up now. So basically, the things we can basically summarize. Want basically a higher skill ceiling for Battlefield 4, where newer players aren't absolutely destroyed. I think you don't want them to be completely want to leave the game straight away.
To make them want to get better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To
draw them in.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they'll put more time in the game.
Exactly. But don't give them an unfair advantage at any point. If you're not as good as one player, that player should still beat you. But it makes you want to get better. It makes you want to flank more. Get behind them rather than trying to shoot. In a heads-up gunfight, I don't want to be facing Zero. I don't want to be facing him because I know I'll lose. So what do? I'll go around him and try and shoot him in the back. While with suppression in play, some players can, like you said, level 15s can just spray at you, and even though you knew they were there, can still beat you because of that random aspect. So yeah, there's a higher skill ceiling, and probably more testing and stuff. Get a more understanding of.
Yeah, more active. I want the developers, to actively tweak stuff.
Yep, and in a competitive sense. Overall, if you were to sum it up, what do you want them to do for BF4? What do you want them to do?
Take out random stuff. Take out random stuff. Add spectator mode, and then boom. It's instantly better than it is now.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Dasco said it was a different playlist for
up.
them. Yeah, so
you mix some aspects of gameplay, specifically. Maybe it's not a separate game mode, but maybe just server options that that this server runner people can have to make it competitive.
Instead of
this is a competitive server instead of just
exactly. Instead of it being called
rule set.
Metro Rush, call it Metro Rush Competitive, and then anyone that wants a competitive game can play that.
You have normal preset, hardcore preset, infantry only, and then you have competitive preset or something.
Yeah, that's definitely an idea. Now that you've heard our ideas, I want to hear your thoughts on everything we've been talking about today. And, so yeah, that's been me and Zero T. Say goodbye, Zero.
Adios.
Remember to check out his channel. He's been a massive help for me today. I cannot thank him enough for helping me out and given topics to talk about. So his description, I'll put it in the channel. His channel,
I am
put it
5'11",
I
single.
just what's
my
that?
My hair's brown. I got brown eyes.
Where's that? What's that? What's the word where you're you're swapping words? Flipping. I've been doing that all day today. Jesus Christ! I'll put his channel in the description where you can click on and subscribe. Okay. Bye bye. Oh god. All right.